Are you serious?
It's not bacon, not an egg, not a hamburger, but what are they?
I've got a 5-course meal in front of me.
It makes me hungry, that's for sure.
That, to me, far away, looks like a piece of cheesecake.
That looks pretty much like a sweet potato.
If this were like on the bottom of like a railing or something, I would have no qualms calling it bubble gum. Like some really nasty chewed bubble gum.
1 broccoli floret.
Without my glasses on, I thought this was a hamburger patty.
So I can see in here, there's some quartz. Most of that pink color is probably plagioclase. That's a type of feldspar. Like, it's kind of gross looking. Not an appetizing hamburger patty, but definitely a hamburger patty.
Y'all got bacon and eggs in here?
I know these guys. These are some of my favorite specimens. Rhodochrosite bacon, rhodochrosite as we like to refer to it, and botryoidal fluorite, which looks like an egg.
I really want to bite into those.
I don't think any of it is food. Oh, that's a Jolly Rancher.
This looks like fluorite to me. I would be shocked to find that I could eat that.
That is edible.
This is edible? Is it? Oh, it's halite. It's halite, so it would be salty if I licked it.
I'm retracting all of my original suppositions.
Don't eat. Don't eat. Don't eat. Wait, hold on. Second opinion. I think I could eat this.
Want to take a chance?
Do I want to take a chance with one?
Which one do you feel confident with?
Oh, yes. Oh, I was so nervous for a second.
Well, my teeth haven't cracked, so they're not a stone.
What I've got here is something that really resembles quartz. Got kind of a hexagonal prism, super, super close. This is sugar. Sugar can grow in hexagonal prisms. Obviously, it's edible. That's a lot of sugar. And now I'm all sticky.
Oh, okay. It's cherry. The lesson we've learned here is that from a distance and without actually physically touching or really inspecting, there are a lot of convincing visual alternatives to both food and minerals.
Today's episode is going to be a little bit different than what we've done in the past. Today we're going to talk about stones that look like snacks and snacks that look like stones, and have a little fun with gemology while we're at it. I think my team's going to kick me off the studio because I know I'm going to try and eat all of this.
That's fancy. I feel very tea party. You can't get blood from a stone, but what about wine? Oh, huh. This is an Indonesian grape chalcedony. As you guys can see, you have those little purple bubbles, look like little bitty grapes. What causes it to look like this is you have like these radiating microcrystals of quartz. And they, from a central point, make a little circle. And you guys can kind of see that they kind of look a little fuzzy. They actually feel fuzzy too. This formation is actually called botryoidal. You can say it botryoidal or botroidal. It's kind of like tomato. The root word, it means actually grapes. So it's very aptly named. There's actually a ton of stuff on this table that is botryoidal. So you've got this little malachite here. It looks like a little piece of broccoli. Instead of it being like completely circular little grapes, you actually have like all these balls that kind of like connect into one another. This is also botryoidal, so you can get these like ugly little masses rather than like these really pretty little individual spheres. All is still botryoidal. So then we also have our botryoidal fluorite, which is actually really weird. Most fluorites make like these really beautiful little cubes or octahedrons, but you can also get these really cool like mounds. Basically what happens is you have all of these competing microcrystals that instead of making a cube, they end up just kind of making a mass and essentially just disguising that cubic crystal structure. Fluorite's part of a cubic crystal system, and quartz is part of the trigonal hexagonal crystal system. So it's not just limited to one particular crystal system for a mineral to be botryoidal.
Ooh, just what I love. I'm gonna take these all out of the bags. Right here, We have 2 slices of watermelon tourmaline. You can see here that there is a purplish red core and then a green exterior. The pink and red, that's colored by manganese. The green is colored by iron. In its purest form, tourmaline is colorless. There are trace elements that cause their colors. It's kind of like rings around a tree. If we know that manganese colors this core, that is the trace element that was present when it was forming. When the green comes, we know that iron was present as that part was forming. And so we can see how the geologic conditions changed over time. These are what are called strawberry quartz. It's really just colorless quartz with a lot of iron oxide inclusions. There are several different types of iron oxide inclusions within these. You can have hematite, you can have goethite, limonite, and they're all gonna look kind of different because those are different materials. They grow in different ways, they have different forms. Sometimes there are streaks of hematite, there can be like flecks, and so it provides a really fun speckled appearance. You can get all types of included quartz. As you can see, this one resembles the little specks in strawberries. So I knew what this guy was for 2 main reasons. One, I can tell that this is in the cubic crystal system because of the bipyramidal shapes. And 2, its luster. We know that the gemstone that has great luster is diamond with an adamantine luster. I'm assuming because we're talking about food that this is what a lot of people refer to as champagne, chocolate, cognac diamonds. Those are all trade names for brown diamonds. These get their color from deformations in the crystal lattice. The interesting thing about brown diamonds is they're actually graded on the same color scale as colorless diamonds and yellow diamonds. And so it becomes a fancy diamond when it's browner, which is really counterintuitive to a lot of people. A lot of people think that you want to remove brown, but really in a lot of cases with fancy color diamonds, you want to accentuate whatever color is there so that it has a richer, more vibrant, more saturated color, and brown is included in that.
Gemstones can definitely make me think of food. A lot of times, like, we'll get tourmaline gemstones, and they're usually like these really beautiful, vibrant colors, and it just makes me think of candy.
Rubellite tourmaline is probably my favorite variety.
If rubellite tourmaline were edible, what do you think it would taste like?
Raspberry. Rubellite would taste like raspberry.
If fluorite was a food, it would have to be a hard candy. It's not, you're not chewing on fluorite. Fluorite's playing the long game.
I really like barite. Barite was a food. Oh, something more savory. I don't know, like soup or something? I don't know.
I think all gems would be sweet because they're so sweet to us. Why wouldn't they taste sweet? Don't eat gemstones. Don't put gemstones in your mouth. They are not candy. They don't taste sweet.
Oh, all right. It's a rock. So this is a cool rock. This is called pudding stone. Pudding stones are called pudding stone because they look like a Christmas pudding. Whenever I look at these, I always think of fruitcake. Something I did not know until I was older and in a very nice restaurant and embarrassed the daylights out of myself is that pudding can refer to a cake or bread. When I ordered something with Yorkshire pudding, I literally thought it was supposed to be like a bread pudding or something like that. No, it's literally a dinner roll. That was embarrassing.
What's the waiter mean?
She looked at us like we were all a bunch of uncouth, uneducated idiots. Because my whole family was like, aren't we supposed to have pudding? The worst part was it was like completely hollow on the inside, so it wasn't even like a good roll. So this is a predominantly quartzite rock. The gray that you guys see in there, that's the concretion of it, like that holds it all together, it's a quartzite. Then you've got black chert, and then you have red jasper, and then you have some more quartzite that's kind of more of a white color. It is called a conglomerate. It literally just means you took a whole bunch of rocks, smushed them all together, and made another rock. These were all parts and pieces that were broken apart and mixed together a really, really long time ago. All the gravels would get deposited where you have little rivers going together and all that kind of stuff, and then they settle, and then eventually they like solidify together. And then you have the glaciers transporting it all down this way to like our Great Lakes. And I did see that there's some pudding stones that can be found as far south as like Kentucky. You can actually go to some of the islands up in the Great Lakes and collect these guys. I think you have to like, you know, get permission from the local government, and there's like a limit on how many or how big they can be that you can collect. But you can still collect them, which is pretty neat. I kind of want to go do it. So take a closer look at our Michigan pudding stone.
I can't not do a closer look on one of my favorite gemstones, watermelon tourmaline. Hopefully you can see the separation of colors.
I hope you guys loved all of our snacks versus stones.
Let us know down in the comments what your favorite snack is. My favorite snack, I don't have much of a sweet tooth. I'm a much more salty, crunchy snack guy, so I love chips of all flavors.
I have like a thing for boxed mac and cheese. I don't know what it is, but whether I want a snack or dinner, I make boxed mac and cheese. It's so good. It's so good.
I'm gonna let you guys know that on most of these episodes that I shoot, there's a Toblerone on my lap or on the floor right next to me because it truly is my favorite snack.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you guys can see all of our future videos. And I'll see you guys later.